Hello fellow book lovers, welcome to this brand new YouTube channel where we are going to talk about, drumrolls please, books. I know I've already read around 25 to 30 books in the first 4 months of the year, and I always feel like with great book reading power comes great book buying responsibility. So I had to buy few books. I went on Flipkart and Amazon and I bought around 20 plus books. So I think why not let's have a look at my books and you can decide whether you have already added those to your shelf or whether you would like to add it to your bookshelf. So the first book I'm going to talk about is the latest book. It's the book that is exclusively you have seen on this channel, you are going to see on this channel. You have never seen it anywhere else. There are movies based on this book, but I'm sure no one has watched it. No one has this book. It's a book called Harry Potter. I know, so I went and I bought the whole book set of Harry Potter. I had I think first two and the last two books in the Harry Potter series, but I never had like a complete set. My wife really loves Harry Potter, so I went and I bought this complete book set. So I don't think I need to show every single book, but I think I'm just going to because I love these colors, love these covers, and that's why I went and I bought this children edition of the Harry Potter book set. There were adult edition if you see, but they don't have these beautiful covers. So this is the Order of Phoenix. I think this is the biggest, the thickest of the lot, and I'll share the link in the description below, but I don't think anyone needs to know. I think everyone knows and probably has Harry Potter book set at their house. So this I never had, I went and I bought. So these are the first 7 books that needs no introduction. Moving on, now let's go to my next book set. It's the book set. There are multiple books which are of the same author. He is my favorite author at the moment. His name is Mr. Brandon Sanderson. Most of you must have heard about him. He writes fantasy books. He has created this awesome universe that is named as Cosmere, and there are different magical world set in this one universe. And the first book of that lot I'm going to show. I heard this book on Audible, so I don't have the physical copy to show you guys, but this is how the cover looks. It's a beautiful cover if you can see. I'm just showing it on the Kindle app of Amazon. It's a book called Elantris, and Elantris is the first book that is set in the Cosmere universe. And basically, if I have to just give you a brief summary, Elantris is this magical city that lost its magical power. The people who were staying there are suffering through a lot of problems, and the city had its highs, now it's at low, and now we go on this journey whether that city can regain its magical power. So this is the book called Elantris. I have read it already, or I heard it, and it's a beautiful book. It's not my favorite book of the Cosmere universe, but I think considering this was the first book of Brandon Sanderson, I think it's beautifully written. The characters are very, very well fleshed out, and I think if you like magic, you will like this book. Moving on to my next book set, it's a series that is also set in the same universe called Cosmere. It's Mistborn. It's a 3-book series called Mistborn, and the first book is The Final Empire. And if I have to give brief summary or brief introduction to this universe, then Mistborn is the best book to start with. Mistborn is about a group of underworld people. They are not really thugs, but underworld people who decide that they are going to dethrone the king, who is the villain, who is the lord, that is Dark Lord, that is ruling the city, and his final empire they want to dethrone. So it's a journey that we set to and look at the last thing that they have written. What if the prophesized hero had failed to defeat the Dark Lord? The answer will be found in Mistborn trilogy, a saga of surprises that begins here. So I've read the first book and it's awesome book, amazing. I think it's the most popular book of Brandon Sanderson so far, and you will love the characters. The magic system, it's based on metals and it's awesome. It's so intricately detailed, and beautifully written. The characters Kelsier, Wynn, I think you will love it. So if you have not read this book, I will highly recommend this. The next book in this series is called The Well of Ascension, and I can't give any brief summary about this because that will contain spoilers. And the third book in the series is called The Hero of Ages. All three based on the same series called Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So moving on, we'll go to the next series that is also by Brandon Sanderson, also set in the Cosmere universe, and it's the masterpiece of Brandon Sanderson called Stormlight Archive. So Stormlight Archive has 4 books so far. All books are 1000+ pages, and I've read the first 2 books, Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. So I've gone and bought this third book called Oathbringer, and this is part 1. So this book is 600+ pages, it's just part 1, and this is part 2 of the same book, which is I think around 700 pages. And so if you can see it, it's basically like this. It makes it into a one book cover, which is quite awesome. I really loved it, and I am yet to read this book. It's in my next read book list. So before that, I completed this book. It's called Edgedancer by Brandon Sanderson once again. So this Edgedancer is the 2.5 of the Stormlight Archive. So after the second book, Word of Radiance, we go to this small novella, which is also of 300 pages, close to 300 pages, by Brandon Sanderson. If I have to give brief idea about what this book is, very difficult to give, but if I have to summarize it in one sentence, it's about a kid or a woman who acts like kid, and she puts her life in danger just to steal food. I think that's the best way I can summarize it easily, but it's not how simple. It's sounding just simple. It's not that simple. I think it's very, very well written, and I loved it. So after that, I'll be reading Oathbringer, and you can find the reviews of these books on my Instagram page. I'll leave the link in the description below. So let's move on to the next book that is also by Brandon Sanderson. I think there are too many Brandon Sanderson books. I still have to get so many more, but it's called Starward, and I just love the book cover, how beautiful it looks. It's black and golden, and even the sky and all that is happening over there looks beautiful. And this, I don't know much about. I haven't read the book yet, and basically, if I have to just read out the summary, it talks about an alien race called the Krell that leads onslaught after onslaught from the sky in a never-ending campaign to destroy humankind. And humanity's only defense is to take to their ships and fight the enemy to the sky. And we go on this ride with this girl, I think, who wants to be one of the pilots and take to the sky. That's why it's called Skyward. And this is the second book in the series called Starsight, which is also beautifully designed by the artist. So these two were the Brandon Sanderson book. This whole thing was a Brandon. So including Elantris, there were total 9 books by Brandon Sanderson, 7 books of Harry Potter. That means we have covered 16 books so far. So let's move on to another fantasy author. I think another awesome fantasy author. He goes by the name of Patrick Rothfuss. I think everyone must have heard his name. And he has written this awesome story, awesome chronicle called The King Killer Chronicle. And it's very popular. I don't know, I never came across it. So I went and I finally bought this book. The first book of the series is called The Name of the Wind. And we basically meet this boy called Kothe. He's the king killer. And we go on his journey, a magical journey for sure, of how he becomes the king killer. I don't know what happens. I am still reading it. I think I just started reading it, and I hope I really enjoy it. I am pretty sure I'm going to like it. So the next book in the series, same series, is called The Wise Man's Fear, and I just love this cover. Look at it. Oh my god. Look at this book in all its glory. I wish I could have had the hardcover of it, but hardcover didn't have this same book cover, so that's why I went for the paperback. So The Wise Man's Fear is the second book. I love the title also, Wise Man's Fear. It sounds so awesome. It's the second book of the series. I can't say much about it because that will contain spoiler. And the third book is this small novella that he wrote in 2014 called A Slow Record to Silent of Silent Things. So again, a beautiful cover. Look at it. Wow. So this is a very small book. I think some 200 odd pages. So this shouldn't take much time. So there were a lot of fantasy books, 19 books in total. But we are done with the fantasy section. Let's move on to this book that I recently purchased, and it's another beautiful cover. It's called The Last Queen by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, if I am pronouncing the name correct. So this is basically a story about Rani Jindan, mother of Khalsa, who basically was the daughter of a royal kennel keeper, and she went on to become the youngest queen of the king Maharaja Ranjit Singh, and she was also the queen regent of her son Dalip, who became the king at the age of 6-year-old. So it's a story of how her childhood was, how she became the queen, and then how she protected her kingdom from the Britishers. So it's set in the 17th century. It's very well written. I'm still reading it, but this is the latest book, the 21st book that I purchased in the month of April, and that is again an Audible title. So I'll have to just show you the Kindle cover. I think that's the best I can do, sorry. So this is the book called The Great Gatsby. It's by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it's English classic literature that was written in 1925, and there's a movie on it. Leonardo DiCaprio has acted in it. This Audible book I really got a good deal. I think I got it for 99 bucks on one of their offers. It's narrated by Jake Gyllenhaal, which is one of my favorite actor. So that's why I decided to buy it. It's very short read. I think it's of 4.5 hours of audio time, and if you are going to read it, then it's of 200 pages. And the story is decent, but how it's written is very beautifully done, and I think it's a one-time read for sure. So these were the 21 books that I bought in the month of April. Let me know in the comment section below if you want to add it to your bookshelf, or if you have already added these books to your bookshelf. And I'll leave the description link of the Amazon and Flipkart links to these books if you are interested in buying them. And I'll also leave a link of my Twitter and Instagram page, Goodreads page, because I'll be posting reviews of these books over there. I'll be letting know if you should add these books to your bookshelf. So follow me there if you are interested. I'll be making more videos, more awesome videos, reviews, unboxing and stuff like that. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and share it with your fellow book lovers. Till then, I'll see you after your next read. I'll be reading a bit. Still here? Subscribe कर दो यार.